Okay, so my name is Preston. I am going to be teaching a little mini lesson today on fluency. So fluency is super important because it not only makes reading fun, but when students are more fluent in their reading, they actually comprehend what they're reading a lot better because they don't need to spend as much time decoding each individual word. Instead, they can read a lot more fluently, which means that they can read a lot more, which is going to ultimately affect their reading comprehension. So, fluency is a very, very important topic when it comes to learning. So to start with the lesson, I would be reading a book, and today I have it up on my TV here. Ideally in the classroom, I would have a large book, like a large teacher book, so that students could see the words, and it wouldn't just be me holding a little small book and reading it to the class. It would be a larger book so students could actually follow along. So right away, I would read that book. And the book that we're reading today is We're Going on a Bear Hunt. Some of you might know the song, some of you might know the book, but it's a really great book because it has lots of different actions and it's very repetitive, so it allows students to really work on their fluency when they read this book. So we're going to be reading We're Going on a Bear Hunt, and I'm going to start by reading it just as a teacher, reading it aloud. And the students will be sitting on the floor and they'll be listening. So to start, it would, We're Going on a Bear Hunt by Michael Rosen and Helen Oxenberry. We're going on a bear hunt. We're going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. We're not scared. Uh-oh, grass. Long, wavy grass. We can't go over it. We can't go under it. Oh no, we've got to go through it. So I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna have my students think, what did you hear me doing? Did you hear me fluctuating my tone up and down? I said, uh-oh, grass. We can't go under it, can't go through it. See, you see that, you hear that fluctuating tone there. And that's gonna make the story a lot more interesting. It's also gonna help students who are sitting here listening to me read understand how they should also be reading the book. So if you keep going, it's the same, uh-oh, a river, a deep, cold river. We can't go over it. We can't go under it. We've got to go through it. And then after this, it's going to have you do actions. Splash, 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 splash. And that continues throughout the entire book until they get to the end and they find the bear, and then they have to run back and do all of the actions again, and that's the story. Many of you are probably familiar with it. Obviously in the class I would read the whole book, but right now I'm not going to do that. After that, I'm going to jump right into the next activity because I want students to be able to remember what I did and then apply it. So I'm going to have my students using the large book, or if we're lucky, each student would have a personal copy from a classroom set and have them read along with me. Now we would go through the entire story and they would practice their tone and their speed and their accuracy when reading. So we're going to do that again. And then after the book finishes, we're going to practice and we're going to think about what did we do that made the story more interesting. And they're going to point out, they're going to point out the splash, 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 or those action verbs, and how that made the story more fun. But then we're going to think more about that tone and the speed and how when we were tiptoeing, we were sneaky. And when we were running, we were really loud. And so on and so forth. Then, to kind of wrap up the activity there on the floor, I would have my students kind of connect back to the book and think about what the plot was. Now this is going to really help because while they were practicing their fluency, they should have also been comprehending what the reading was about. So they're going to tell me, oh, they were chasing a bear, whatever. They're going to tell me the plot. I'm going to ask them, what was the plot of this story? And they're going to tell me that. And then when I hear what they're saying, get their responses back, I am going to connect it back to the book and say, in the book, the characters had to go on a bear hunt. They had to go through all of these obstacles they had to go through a river, and they had to go through grass, and they had to go through a cave, and then they had to run from the bear. All of these obstacles, and they had to do different things for each. Now, with our reading, we're going to come across obstacles, and that could be, what tone do I use when I read this book? Do I use a sad tone? Do I use a happy, upbeat tone? All sorts of different questions you might have. And then you might have another obstacle. How fast do I read? Do I read really super fast? Are we running? Or do I read really slow? Maybe not. Maybe we read it in the middle and read a good solid pace so that you can both understand the book and keep it moving. These obstacles are what reading is all about, but using what you've learned about fluency and how to figure out how to use your tone and what key clues we're going to use to find what tone we should use and how fast we should be reading and how to accurately use words. We're going to be completing the obstacles that we need to complete when we're reading, just like the characters did in the story. Now, in further lessons, I would have the students keep reading the book and keep practicing that fluency or reading new books. But that is my lesson on fluency, and I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you.